bend it a little bit. Hopefully don't break it. Hi, I'm Miltonchang of Bonsai Heirloom. One of the person wrote me and said, I'm new at this and I've been buying nursery stock to make my bonsai. That occurred to me, that's really more common what most of you would do rather than digging up your garden or find an old tree. So I asked my helper to pick up a couple of these. These are the Japanese shimpaku. Which is the Japanese juniper. The ones same as the ones that you see in massive bonsai, but these are the cuttings. This is a very good juniper. It has very small needle and much more compact growth, as you can see. And therefore, it's often used for grafting onto the California bonsai, California juniper and all that, to make the leaf look small and compact. And they grow fairly rapidly after you graft them. But today what I'll do is also use this opportunity to nearly identical. These are $14.99, which is really amazing. It's called Juniperus Shimpaku Kyushu. And these, if you find it in bonsai stores, they charge you a lot of money. Like one like this was $75. I got it for $15. So I will use this as an opportunity for two of them, turning two nursery stock into bonsai. One used the clip and grow technique, and one is used the wiring to show the different approach. I would say when it's all done, finished today, the one clip and grow would look pretty bare, and I try not to cut too much to sort of preserve the shape and modify it over time. Whereas the one that's the wiring would look much more fuller. And you can see this is a bigger tree, more full, so I use this for wiring. And this one more sparse, I use for a clip and grow method to demonstration. So this is going to be the clip and grow. It's less sparse than, it's more sparse than the other one. The other one is more growth to give me more opportunity for wiring. But one of the techniques to plant it in a bigger pot for faster growth is to don't break off the roots, but spread them so that the roots can spread into the rest of the pot to speed up the growth. And so that's what I'll do. But I will put it into a 2-gallon pot. Then maybe the next time we'll move it into a 5-gallon pot. Over time, it can become a big tree, but probably not. I have plenty of other big trees, but we'll turn these two into sort of like a large shohin or larger size, small miniature bonsai. So that's all I would do to the roots and put it in a 2-gallon pots. So the two are actually very similar. If you look at it, you can see there's multiple trunks, which I can make into a variety of choices. At one extreme, I can cut off everything and follow this line to make it into a bunjin style tree, but that would be very tiny. I don't think you'll be interested in that. So let me make the two the same design, essentially, kind of a formal upright multi-trunk tree. And again, I'll remove some of the roots up on top to maximize use of the rootage in the design of the bonsai. If I look at this tree, you can see 3 branches and grow up. So it's a little bit like a normal tree, heritage tree in a park that grows up with a trunk on the bottom and then branch out on top. So it's not a fanciful tree, but it's a very fundamental basic design. So with that in mind, then that's what I'll do to this one. And the other one is actually the same. And the two really are almost identical. So that's actually good for the demonstration for comparison purposes. So again, I'll do the same to loosen up the roots so that they would grow faster into a bigger pot. See, this root is going that way, so which is not desirable. So I just cut it so that you have roots growing out radially. By the way, these are really easy tree for cuttings. I think they are almost 100% work. You take a little one like that, they will grow fairly rapidly. I would say this is probably no more than 2 years old from a cutting. So that's why I can't quite understand why people sell it for so much money just because they got the Japanese word on it. Well, I changed my mind. I'm going to use this for the more for the clip and grow. And it doesn't matter. I'll just use this one with a clip and grow. The other one you can see is that one possibility is just split off this one into 2 trees, and then the roots will come out and compensate for the cutting. First of all, this branch and this branch are too close. I think I'll make this into a gin, so that this tree will grow up to be a double trunk, in a sense that this one will become the top together with this side. Okay, so, it's very arbitrary, so let me just do it. Let me cut off a little bit first. These can all be used for cuttings, which I will do, actually. So I'm cutting off based on fundamental principles of wanting to give myself more space. And when in doubt, I cut off a little bit less so that I can have room for recovery. So I'm just doing a rough shaping to get rid of the redundant branches so I see where I'm going. And then I'll try to make it into a more finished product. Roughly shaping, that's a tree, but then it doesn't look so nice because there's a lot of redundancy. So for example, I will make this into a gin. In fact, I should just keep everything. And it's quite easy to remove the bark because there's still some growth. I really need a pointed needle plier, but I don't have it. So I can find it, so I'll just use this. And the same thing, I think this is quite redundant. So that's this branch, and then these are dead wood, and then these Like this one is really too dense. And usually you don't want a branch to come out underneath a branch. So just pull that off, cut it off. You basically want to clean it up as much as you can, so when it grows out, it will not be cluttered. You can see this branch will be on top of this branch, will be shading this branch. And also, it's not too far from this branch. So one possibility is, given there's no other greens, I can cut it off here. Maybe, hopefully, this one would become a branch going out this way. But for now, I don't think I need this. And I can also make that into dead wood to make it more interesting. So I'm creating a little bit more of a chain to give it some interest. Then I look at this one. I think that's too high. So it should be about here. Because you want this kind of to be the apex, more or less. So roughly, this would be my tree. So recapping what I did is that I tried to decide on what the tree will look like. And there's really not much choice because it's a small tree. I can only do so much. And I tried to make it a little bit thin to show the age. And I need to clean that off a little bit better later on. And that's roughly the tree. Not very nice, but when it fills up, I have more design opportunity to change it. As I point out, like this branch is too symmetrical to this one, so I make that into a gin. And hopefully it will grow out to the side. This is the pot I will put it in. Let me put it behind to show you that's what it will look like. Because I don't want to cut off this to fit the pot so that it will grow faster. These trees grow fairly fast, the shimpaku. And so I think in a year, it'll be about this size, quite nicely full. And I think it'll look okay in the spot. Right now, it's a little bit oversized. So that's the clip and grow. And I grow the two side by side by putting in a 2-gallon can instead of 1 gallon, and then show you the progress. I'm going to save all these cuttings because I don't have too many shimpaku because I favor the prostrata and the California juniper. So I would make these into shimpaku bonsai for you someday. So this is the tree, finished tree, and I would have the pot roughly like this. You can see the logo here. And just to remind you, if I hold this in with one finger and I hit it, it's like a bell. So this is very solid, rigid material, hard to break, and it's a perfect bonsai pot, unlike a lot of the inexpensive terracotta pots. Well, for this tree, I'll do the wiring just for the comparison purposes, and I'll grow them side by side so that no cheating, in a sense, they get exactly the same treatment, and you can see the rate of progress. And frankly, I think the clip and grow looks more bare at the end. And the whole point about wiring is that you save the existing branch, so by definition, it's more full. But I think it will soon catch up and with a better design, so to speak. So with that in mind, then let me do the wiring of this. But before I do wiring, I also need to shape it first, so that then the wiring is really more for the minor branch. Yeah, so what I'm doing is to do the rough shaping, but I don't cut off as much as I do with the clip and grow method, because then I would use the wire to bring the branches to the location I wanted them to be. But still, you need to do some cutting to get to the basic design you want. And what you do is you basically form the vision what the end tree will look like, and then you clip off what's not desirable, what's not necessary, and that's all you do. So in both cases, you have to proceed with the end in mind, your vision in mind, so that you will not be surprised at the end in terms of the end result, because you will be working towards it all along. And I think this would be a very nice looking depth branch by cleaning it off a little bit, and it would turn white with age, in the sense of by weathering without the bark. So for example, I can see this being the top, this will come down by wiring. So I want to leave it up to here so that this will come down to be looking about right. So you still do need to clip it to know where you're going, even if you're going to do wiring. And the same thing with this one, I may want to straighten it out a little bit instead of this wimpy curve by doing this, and then also wire it to keep it in place. And then this is coming into the other tree, which is not highly desirable. So I'll also clip it to make it into a little bit of gin to show a little bit of age and feature. But it's a little contrived because it's a very young tree. It's not a big tree, but I guess the whole objective was to pretend it to be an old tree, right? In a sense, what bonsai is to scenery in miniature. So I think this will be the main branch, and this one will be coming down. So it's conceivable you can do it this way. So this will come out to give it more of a roundness as an older tree. So that's what wiring can do to speed up the process. And I always like to cheat a little bit by bending it to make it easier for wiring. So that means I am cutting it with what I'll be doing in wiring in the back of my head, so that I will have the branches to wire when I'm done to speed up the appearance of the tree by pulling them into places. So in both cases, you have to kind of have the end in mind. Okay, now that's the tree I have left with. But you can see if I pull this one down, you can see that tree will have more width. And then I cut it in anticipation of what I would do. With the wiring, that is. I always like to pull off the redundant branches to reduce the clutter, so you can see the trunk better using either method. And then let's see, this branch, I think this is okay. So I'll probably cut this off, make this the apex. So if you compare these two trees, this was a lot more fuller, even though they're about the same size to start. And so using the wiring, you spend more time doing it. It does an advantage that you start off with a more fuller tree. But again, 6 months from later, it really wouldn't make any difference. And this tree will have much better shape because you're starting from the fundamental design and build it up from there, where this one is you make do with what's in existence. So with that in mind, then let me do a little bit of wiring. So for example, this branch, I can almost make this tree straight up and then this one a little bit tilted. So with that in mind, then I do really want this tree to be a little bit more down, right? So what I'll do is I would bend it a little bit, hopefully don't break it. It's quite supple, Juniper. And so now you can see this tree is quite nicely shaped with the tree kind of branching out, which you can do, but if you let the clip grow method branch grow from that point on. So I don't have very thick wire. I do have them in the back, but I don't want to be bothered to look for them at this point. So I just use existing wire and make them, let's say, 3 thick to bend the thicker branch. I can also use the wire to guide it down. I think that may be the easiest. That's why I like to use the guide wire rather than using the thick wire to force that branch to turn, which is not going to be easy. Okay. So I'll start from here and go up and go behind this branch to pull this branch down, which means I have to restrict its ability to bend by putting this wire here. I basically pull this one down when I tighten the wiring so that it will not be bounced back. And then I have a little wire one, longer one, to go further to give this one a little bit more of an angle. But I will have to remove it, I would say no more than 2 months from now, or else it grows so fast, it will eat into the branch. But you can see this branch is more or less staying put now, right? And I can further bend this one down to accentuate this. And then this one I'll probably cut off so that it's more like this. Right, so I think wiring does have its advantage. Things grow a little bit in the sense of whip it into shape faster, but you do spend more time. And that's why, given I didn't have time when I was working, I tend to use the clip and grow method and wind up refining it to my advantage. So that's how the branch looks like. And why not, right? And the rest of it still clip and grow, right? I don't think there's much more wiring needed. I mean, if need be, I can wire these branches down, but that's fairly easy to just by bending it and not having to worry about it. Yeah, and like this branch, you can see it's kind of wimpy, this curve. So what I'll do is I put a little wire there to straighten it out so it doesn't look that wimpy when it grows up eventually. So these are the things you can do with the wiring. But again, the next time when I see this, I will still be doing a little bit of a clip and grow to, it's really use whatever tools you have in your repertoire and to your advantage. So there's nothing magical about keeping it so pure to use the clip and grow or use the wiring technique. Just do use whatever that's appropriate to optimize the outcome, right? So this is a fairly wimpy curve. I like to straighten it out to make it more forceful. So what I'll do is I'll just start from here. I leave a little bit of wire there so it's easier to find it later. I think a few months from now, I think that both will look good. But in the meantime, I think the wiring one does look better, I have to admit. Again, for this one, which I use the wiring method, I make sure the roots are radially out by combing out the roots first. And then the main wiring I did is to straighten out this one, make it go lower, which you can see make the tree look more reaching. And then this one was fairly wimpy with a little curve. And let me cut this off. So I straighten it out to look less curved. And what some people like to do, some bonsai master like to do is that they cannot get their hands off this. So when they do this, they will do a little bit of a twisting. So you can see there's a little bit more twist, but also more that angle. I think that's fine. And I think I can orient this a little bit when I repot it. So two side by side. This is done by the clip and grow method. The two are about the same size. And you can see there's a lot more foliage left in the wiring method. And perhaps it's a little bit better to speed up a little bit of the growth because there's more photolysis going on with more greens. But I don't think it's going to be much difference. I think a lot of the feeding is going to come from the roots. And I'm going to put both of them side by side into 2-gallon pots. And for comparison, 6 months from now, I think we can all learn from it. The final thoughts is I think I'm not a purist, neither should you be, in a sense of what do I care whether it's Japanese or Chinese or wiring or clip and grow. These are all part of your tools in your repertoire to make use of for the right occasion. And actually, I'll do both a little bit more wiring and a little bit of clipping and to show you how the trees look like to start. But for the wiring, I emphasize again to move them fairly quickly, 6 weeks, 2 months or 3 months, but no longer because if it bounces back a little bit, you can clip the branches to compensate. Or if you're rewiring it, it's not that big a deal. But at least you don't wind up destroying the tree by girdling. So with that in mind, I thank you very much for joining us today. And if you liked the video and you found it informative, please click like, I like the encouragement and the brownie points. And subscribe to our channel so that you can get announcement on our raffles and stuff, as well as a new video posting. So thank you very much.